And there it is, the creeping normality. We talked a bit about this on the IRL podcast, that over time, the far left slowly makes things normal, things that shouldn't be normal. Case in point, far left's Breathe Act calls on states to expand voting to undocumented people. We are quite literally now entering the point where the Democrats are advocating for decriminalizing border crossings, no longer deporting people, a path to citizenship, which is the more reasonable point for people who may already be here, not if you just allow everyone to come now, but to the larger point. Now that they've already normalized that idea and gotten the activist base completely on board with it, now they want non-citizens to have the right to vote in local and state, on local and state issues. And I'll give you the specifics in a minute. But can we just talk about the obvious result of what they're proposing? It's not going to be the success of this country. It's not going to be a utopia. It's not going to be a happy world where everyone is holding hands, because China, Russia, Europe, many other countries still exist. If they get what they want, it quite literally just means the entire collapse of the United States. That's it. And China will still exist as a nation. So no, it's not about some global utopia. It's just literally destroying this country. Let's get the specifics here from Breitbart. They say, the proposal, drafted in partnership with the Movement for Black Lives, aims to overhaul the U.S. criminal justice system, providing a range of radical changes, from defunding the police and immigration and customs enforcement to establishing a commission tasked with designing reparations for victims of mass criminalization. You can see what they're doing. They're using Black Lives Matter. They're introducing this, getting you all on board with it, and tucked inside is non-citizens can vote. They say an overview of the proposal devotes a section to ensuring democratic, fair, and secure voting processes that are free from racial discrimination and voter suppression in every state. The proposed measures include enfranchising all formerly and presently incarcerated people in federal elections, creating a public financing program for campaigns that are powered by small donor contributions, incentivizing states to increase voter turnout, and incentivizing states to pass laws that expand voting access. I don't completely disagree with some of these positions, and that's how they get you. They're not going to come to you and say, would you support our bill that will allow non-citizens to vote? You'd be like, what? Wait, no, of course not. No, they're going to come to you and say, don't you think that we should pass this bill that will help bring more people to vote? Yeah. Don't you think that voting, the election day should be a holiday? That makes sense. Now, sign on the dotted line. You do, and you don't read the fine print. This is why lawyers exist. The funny thing is, when it comes to a contract and fine print, you have your lawyer review it, assuming you can afford a lawyer if you're in a position like that. But typically you get a contract, you get a lawyer. When you vote and they show you these bills, you don't have a lawyer. No one's going to read over this for you and be like, here's what this means and here's what this will do. And so people just fall for the tricks. Here's what they say. They say, in addition to enfranchising past and present incarcerated individuals, the leftists call for laws specifically allowing local and state resident voting for undocumented people. Well, there it is. Additionally, the proposal calls for full and free access to a lifetime of education for undocumented people, as well as a jobs program that targets the most economically disadvantaged individuals, including groups that disproportionately include Black, cis, and trans women, formerly incarcerated people, undocumented, and disabled people. Notably, the radical proposal also calls for the removal of federal laws that criminalize illegal border entry, as well as the full dismantlement of ICE and CBP. We can start to envision through this bill a new vision for public safety, one that protects, affirms Black lives, Rashida Tlaib said on Tuesday. I am so sick and tired of the lies. I absolutely cannot stand these people. Every single thing they do, it is the same. Oh man, you know what really frustrates me? Let me tell you a story. I used to have a Discord. I got rid of that Discord. You know why? Because there were people who you knew what their agenda was, and they were anti-Semites. And it was the most annoying thing in the world. I have never wanted to punch someone in the face more in my life. Because what they do, I'll tell you what they do. You read this thing, this bill. This is what all of these fringe lunatics do. And you'll have a conversation. You know, I think we need prison reform and police reform. And they're like, I hear you. Let's have a conversation about police reform. Yeah. And then here's what happens. They'll go, you know, I was talking about police reform with my friend who was undocumented. And they were talking about how in their country, you know, they use these programs. I think one of the problems we have is that, you know, when it comes to undocumented people, that, the police will treat them differently. In fact, we should probably just take a look at how the undocumented people are being negatively impacted. I mean, shouldn't they have a right to speak? I think we should totally pass a bill that allows the undocumented people a right to vote. And then you're like, wait, hold on. Weren't we just talking about police reform? How did we move over to the subject matter of socialism, jobs guarantees, and undocumented people getting to vote in this country? It is it's so annoying. I just can't stand it. You'll be having a conversation. You'll be like, so what do you guys want to eat for dinner? I think we could do pizza. You guys want to do pizza? Yeah, I could go for pepperoni. What do you think, Miss Rashida Tlaib? What would you like on your pizza? I think a good topping would be probably bell peppers. They grow bell peppers in Mexico. And there's I actually went to one of the farms there, and the undocumented workers who ended up coming to the United States were being confronted by police. Why don't we all have a conversation about legalizing border crossings and giving undocumented citizens the right to vote? And then you're like, bro, we're talking about pizza. Look what they're doing. Everybody's talking about Black Lives Matter, and this is what they do. They put a big old Black Lives Matter up on the top, and then all the way down at the bottom, I'll show you what they do. Here it is. Ensure democratic, fair, and secure voting processes that are free from racial discrimination. And they say, incentivizing states to pass laws, yada, yada, enfranchising, yada, yada, allowing local and state resident voting for undocumented people. And this is where we've come to. This is where it brings us. Back in 2018, San Francisco will allow non-citizens to vote in local election, creating a new immigration flashpoint. You see how they one up things? They will Trojan horse this psychotic policy, which will literally just destroy this country and take all of your possessions and everything you love and just crush it. And they will put a big old smile right in front of it with a big old sign that says Black Lives Matter. You want to talk about police brutality? I'm down. Police reform? Yes. Prison reform? 100%. But stop trying to shoehorn in your stupid and psychotic far left trash when we are talking about real issues here. Let me just break it down for you. Let me give you an analogy. Well, let's talk about what happens when non-citizens vote. Let's say you have a house. Let's say in your house, everybody has $100. Everyone is voting on how much of their $100 should go towards fixing certain things. And, most people agree, look, man, everybody's got to pitch in. We all live here together. Y'all got to pitch in for utilities, right? We all pay that bill. Now, hold on. Jim, you use more electricity than anybody because you got that editing rig up in your room. So I think you should pay a little bit more. That makes sense. Now, there's an argument about progressive taxes where you're like, Jim actually has $200, so he should pay double. And it's like, whoa, that's not fair just because I have more. We're all using the same thing, right? That's a different argument. But let's keep the analogy going. So you all decide you're all allowed to vote on how much we all pitch in. And everyone decides 10%. Everybody will put in $10. Then a group of people say, I think we should allow people who don't live here the right to vote. Then all of a sudden people come in and you're like, yo, you guys don't live here. Well, you can't kick them out. They all vote. You're not allowed to kick those people out. Where are they going to sleep? What are they going to eat? Then those people who just came into your house are now saying we should have the right to vote on how you spend your money. Well, they'll vote for the money to be spent on them. They'll vote for the right for more people to come into your house. That's why we can absolutely have a program where we say, listen, we can only let in, one or two people at a time. But if people are not pitching into the pot, to our tax base, and we allow them to vote, they will vote in such a way, and with all due respect, to support themselves. They'll vote for policies that benefit them personally. That's what every person will do. So it's not specific to immigration. It more has to do with the fact that if people haven't pitched in, they should not be voting on what we do with the money we did pitch in. Legal immigration. You see why that works? That's why what we do is we say, if you'd like to come in and become a part of our community, we have a process to make sure we're not straining ourselves and it's not going to cause greater problems in the long run. And there you go. But they're going to allow non-citizens to vote. And where do you think that brings us? It will lead us to the next iteration. Right now, what they're saying is local and resident, what do they say? Local and state voting for, it says local and state resident voting for undocumented people. That means people who entered the country illegally. We don't know where they are. We don't know what they do. We don't track their income properly. They're now going to vote on core issues that affect the rest of us. That just means over a long enough period of time, there will be more and more people who have no ties to the community who will be voting on issues to extract resources from that community or allocate resources in certain areas that will negatively impact the people who are producing those resources. In the long run, it will just be a net detriment to everybody. But I'll tell you, that's not the worst thing of it. The worst thing of it is that, okay, that is part of a bigger problem. The issue I have is I am sick and tired of the bad faith. They know that if they actually propose this to regular Americans, they would say no. And they know that if they use pressure tactics and manipulation and Trojan horse tactics, they'll eventually get what they want because regular people aren't going to read the bills. What do you do about it? I don't know, but I'll leave it there. I got a couple more segments coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.